Okay, picture this. A whole society is standing at a crossroads, right? The system they've trusted for generations is starting to crack, and nobody's sure what's coming next. So they've got a choice to make: stick with the ideals they've always known, or trade them in for the promise of a powerful new leader, someone who can make them feel safe again.
So let me ask you directly, what would you trade for a strong leader? It's a question that just keeps popping up throughout history. I mean, what's security really worth to you? What parts of your life, your stuff, your actual freedom are you willing to give up for the promise of order and protection? Well, this ancient story lays out that exact dilemma, and honestly, it feels more relevant now than ever.
So here's where our story kicks off: a major leadership crisis in ancient Israel. Their guide, this guy named Samuel, he's getting old. He's been the rock of their society his entire life. But the problem isn't really his age, it's who's supposed to take his place.
And just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. On one side, you've got Samuel, a man of integrity, and on the other, his own sons, Joel and Abijah, the guys who are meant to carry on his legacy. But check out their resume: chasing dirty money, taking bribes, twisting justice. You know, this isn't just some family drama. This is a full-blown national security crisis waiting to happen.
So, facing this nightmare scenario of being ruled by corrupt leaders, the elders of Israel decide, okay, we got to do something. They all get together, march right up to Samuel, and they don't have a suggestion. Oh no, they have a demand that's about to change everything for their nation.
Now, listen really closely to how they phrase this. They don't just say, hey, we need a new leader. They say, appoint a king, such as all the other nations have. See that? Their desire isn't just for a stable government, it's a desire to fit in. They're afraid of being different, of looking weak on the world stage. They're trying to find a political fix for what's actually a moral problem.
And Samuel, well, he's really disturbed by this. He doesn't see it as a practical request. To him, it feels like they're rejecting their entire way of life. So, he does what he's always done his whole life. He takes the problem to the Lord, looking for some guidance on what to do.
And the answer he gets back is, wow. It completely reframes the whole situation. This isn't about the people losing faith in Samuel's family, it's a spiritual rebellion. The people aren't just trying to fire their judge, they're trying to fire God as the ultimate ruler of their nation.
So, here's the twist. The people are going to get what they want. The request will be granted. But, and this is a huge but, it comes with a terrifying condition. Samuel is told to go back to the people and warn them, solemnly. He has to spell out the full, brutal cost of having an earthly king. He needs to give them the itemized bill in excruciating detail for what they're about to buy.
And what Samuel says next, man, it's one of the most bone-chilling speeches you can imagine. This isn't a political debate, it's a prophecy. It's a detailed invoice for the security they are so desperate for.
First up, the cost in people. Samuel says the king will take your sons. He's going to draft them into a permanent state machine. They'll become cogs in his army, charioteers, soldiers, commanders. And when they're not at war, they'll be forced laborers for his personal projects, plowing his fields and making his weapons.
And it's not just the boys. He will take your daughters too, not for the battlefield, but for the palace. They'll be drafted into domestic service as his personal perfumers, cooks, and bakers. Their lives, their futures, are no longer their own.
Okay, so he's taken their children. What's next? Pretty much everything they own. The king will seize the best of it. Your most fertile fields, your most productive vineyards. He will take your workers, your best cattle and donkeys, and he's not going to ask permission. He'll just take it and give it to his buddies and officials to lock down his own power.
And if you think that's it, nope. On top of seizing your best assets, he's going to introduce a national tax. A tenth. 1/10 of everything you produce from your grain and your vineyards goes to the state. A tenth of your flocks. Gone. This is how the new government gets funded, straight out of the pockets of the people.
So after listing everything the king will take, their kids, their land, their labor, their money, Samuel delivers the final crushing blow, the ultimate price. He says, in the end, after you've given up everything else, you will lose yourselves. You will become his slaves. And here's the final nail in the coffin. Samuel warns them that once they go down this road, there's no turning back. When the reality of all this finally hits, when they're crushed by it and they cry out for relief, the divine help they just rejected won't be there to save them. They'll be on their own with the consequences of their choice.
So, the warning has been given. The price has been laid out, clear as day. Your children, your property, your money, and at the end of the day, your freedom. After hearing all of that, What would you do? I mean, surely this would be enough to make them stop and reconsider, right?
But they don't. Their response is just defiant. No, they say. They heard the warning, they understand the cost, and they choose it anyway. Their desire for a king is just that strong. Stronger than their fear of everything they're about to lose.
And their reasons why are so revealing and so human. First, it's about conformity. Then we will be like all the other nations. They just want to fit in. Second, they need a visible leader, someone they can see, a king to lead us. And finally, the biggest motivator of all, security. A king to go out before us and fight our battles. They're willing to pay absolutely any price to have someone else take care of their safety.
And just like that, the debate is over. The final instruction is given to Samuel. The people made their choice, fully aware of the cost. So, their wish is granted. The nation's fate is sealed.
You know, this ancient story leaves us with this huge, timeless question. It really forces us to look at the bargains we make, not just as a society, but in our own lives. When we're scared, when things feel unstable, what are we willing to trade away for a feeling of safety? And do we ever really understand the full price until it's too late to get a refund?